To avoid paying sales tax on subcontractor payments, you can obtain a sales tax exemption certificate from your subcontractors. Request a Form ST-120 sales tax exemption certificate from each subcontractor. Have them complete and sign the form, certifying that the purchases are for exempt purposes. Remember to maintain proof of exempt status. Keep a file of all completed sales tax exemption certificates. Provide proof of exemption such as copies of licenses, contracts to subcontractors if requested. To claim a refund for sales tax paid on subcontractor payments, file a sales tax refund claim. Submit a Form ST-120.1 sales tax refund claim to the state tax agency. Include proof of sales tax paid, for example, invoices and receipts, and a copy of the sales tax exemption certificate from the subcontractor. Ensure you meet eligibility requirements. The purchases must have been made for exempt purposes. The subcontractor must have held a valid sales tax exemption certificate at the time of purchase. The sales tax must have been timely reported and paid. Some additional tips include communicating with subcontractors. Inform subcontractors about the sales tax exemption process and the importance of providing accurate documentation. Review purchases regularly. Check invoices and receipts to ensure that sales tax is not being charged on exempt purchases. Consider consulting with a tax professional or reviewing state tax regulations for specific guidance. State regulations regarding sales tax exemptions for subcontractor payments may vary, so it's recommended to check with your state tax agency for detailed instructions and requirements. Always prioritize obtaining the sales tax exemption certificate, which is Form ST-120 from each subcontractor before any work commences. This proactive step is the most effective way to prevent sales tax from being charged on transactions that qualify for an exemption. The completed and signed form serves as official documentation that the purchases are for exempt purposes under state law. When requesting Form ST-120, ensure that your subcontractors fully understand the information required and the importance of accurate completion. Common errors or omissions can lead to the rejection of the certificate by the state tax agency, potentially resulting in unexpected sales tax liabilities. Provide clear guidelines and examples to help them fill out the form correctly. Maintaining comprehensive records of all completed sales tax exemption certificates is crucial for demonstrating compliance with state tax regulations. Establish a dedicated filing system, either physical or electronic, to store these certificates securely. The file should be organized in a manner that allows for easy retrieval of specific certificates when needed for audits or refund claims. In addition to the exemption certificates, maintain copies of any supporting documentation that substantiates the exempt status of the purchases. This documentation may include copies of your company's licenses, contracts with clients, or purchase orders that clearly specify the exempt nature of the goods or services being acquired. These documents serve as additional evidence to support your claim that the purchases are not subject to sales tax. When submitting a Form ST-120.1, which is the sales tax refund claim, to the state tax agency, it is essential to include all required documentation to avoid delays or rejection of the claim. Gather copies of all invoices, receipts, and sales tax exemption certificates that pertain to the specific purchases for which you are seeking a refund. Ensure that the copies are clear, legible, and accurately reflect the sales tax paid on each transaction. Before filing a sales tax refund claim, carefully review the eligibility requirements to determine if you meet all the criteria for obtaining a refund. The purchases must have been made for exempt purposes, the subcontractor must have held a valid sales tax exemption certificate at the time of purchase, and the sales tax must have been timely reported and paid. If any of these requirements are not met, your refund claim may be denied. To maintain transparency and avoid misunderstandings, it is essential to communicate effectively with your subcontractors about the sales tax exemption process. Clearly explain the requirements for obtaining and submitting sales tax exemption certificates, and emphasize the importance of providing accurate and complete documentation. By fostering open communication, you can minimize errors and ensure that both parties are aligned on the proper procedures for handling sales tax on exempt transactions. Implement a system for regularly reviewing invoices and receipts to identify any instances where sales tax is being charged on exempt purchases. This review should be conducted on a periodic basis, such as monthly or quarterly, to ensure that errors are detected and corrected in a timely manner. If you discover any instances where sales tax has been incorrectly charged, promptly contact the subcontractor to request a corrected invoice or a refund of the sales tax paid. Given the complexities of state tax laws and regulations, it may be beneficial to seek professional advice from a tax professional or consultant. A qualified tax advisor can provide specific guidance on the sales tax exemption process, help you navigate the requirements for filing refund claims, and ensure that you are in compliance with all applicable state laws. In addition to seeking professional advice, it is also recommended to stay informed about changes to state tax regulations that may affect your business. Subscribe to newsletters or alerts from your state tax agency to receive updates on new laws, rulings, and interpretations that could impact your sales tax obligations. By staying informed, you can proactively adapt your business practices to comply with the latest requirements and avoid potential penalties. Consider implementing a training program for your employees who are involved in purchasing or accounting functions to educate them about the sales tax exemption process. The training program should cover topics such as how to identify exempt purchases, how to obtain and review sales tax exemption certificates, and how to file sales tax refund claims. By investing in employee training, you can improve accuracy, reduce errors, and ensure that your business is consistently following best practices for managing sales tax on exempt transactions. Maintain open lines of communication with your state tax agency to address any questions or concerns that you may have about the sales tax exemption process. The tax agency can provide guidance on specific situations, clarify ambiguous regulations, and help you resolve any disputes that may arise. Building a positive relationship with your state tax agency can be invaluable for ensuring compliance and avoiding potential tax liabilities. When evaluating potential subcontractors, inquire about their familiarity with sales tax exemption procedures. Prioritize working with subcontractors who have a track record of providing accurate sales tax exemption certificates and complying with state tax regulations. This can help minimize the risk of errors and ensure that your projects are completed in a tax-efficient manner. Before engaging a subcontractor, include a clause in the contract that outlines the responsibilities of both parties with respect to sales tax. The clause should specify the subcontractor's obligation to provide a valid sales tax exemption certificate for exempt purchases and to accurately report and remit sales tax on taxable transactions. Including such a clause in a contract can help protect your interests and ensure that the subcontractor fulfills its tax obligations. Conduct regular audits of your subcontractors' invoices and receipts to verify that they are properly accounting for sales tax. The audit should focus on identifying any instances where sales tax is being charged on exempt purchases or where sales tax is not being remitted on taxable transactions. If any discrepancies are found, promptly address them with the subcontractor to ensure that they are corrected. If you are unsure whether a particular purchase qualifies for a sales tax exemption, err on the side of caution and contact your state tax agency or tax professional for guidance. It is always better to seek clarification before making a purchase than to risk incurring penalties for incorrectly claiming an exemption. Keep meticulous records of all communications with subcontractors, the state tax agency, and tax professionals regarding sales tax matters. These records should include dates, names, and a summary of the topics discussed. Maintaining detailed records can be helpful in resolving disputes or demonstrating compliance with state tax regulations. If you are involved in a construction project that spans multiple states, be aware that each state may have its own sales tax rules and regulations. You may need to obtain sales tax exemption certificates from subcontractors in each state where you are conducting business. It is important to familiarize yourself with the specific requirements of each state to ensure compliance. Some states offer online tools or resources that can help you determine whether a particular purchase is subject to sales tax. These tools typically allow you to enter information about the product or service being purchased and the intended use, and then provide a determination of whether sales tax applies. Utilizing these online resources can help you make informed decisions about sales tax and avoid potential errors. Consider implementing a software system that automates the process of tracking and managing sales tax exemption certificates. These systems can help you store certificates securely, track expiration dates, and generate reports on exemption usage. Automating the process can save time and reduce the risk of errors. Stay abreast of any legislative changes that may affect sales tax exemptions for contractors and subcontractors. State legislatures frequently amend tax laws, and these changes can have a significant impact on your business. By staying informed, you can ensure that you are always in compliance with the latest requirements. Periodically review your company's sales tax policies and procedures to ensure that they are still effective and up to date. This review should include an assessment of the training provided to employees, the systems used to track and manage sales tax exemption certificates, and the processes for filing sales tax refund claims. By conducting regular reviews, you can identify areas for improvement and ensure that your company is continuously improving its sales tax compliance. If you encounter any difficulties in obtaining a sales tax exemption certificate from a subcontractor, consider offering assistance in completing the form. You can provide guidance on the information required and help the subcontractor gather the necessary documentation. By offering assistance, you can increase the likelihood of obtaining a valid certificate and avoid potential sales tax liabilities. Be prepared to provide documentation to the state tax agency to support your claim that a purchase qualifies for a sales tax exemption. This documentation may include contracts, purchase orders, invoices, and other records that demonstrate the intended use of the product or service. By having this documentation readily available, you can expedite the process of resolving any disputes or audits. If you are audited by the state tax agency, cooperate fully with the auditors and provide them with all the information they request. This includes sales tax exemption certificates, invoices, receipts, and other relevant documentation. By cooperating with the auditors, you can minimize the risk of penalties and ensure that the audit is conducted efficiently. Remember that the burden of proof is on you to demonstrate that a purchase qualifies for a sales tax exemption. Therefore, it is essential to maintain accurate and complete records to support your claims. Failure to do so could result in the denial of exemptions and the imposition of penalties. If you are unsure about any aspect of the sales tax exemption process, seek professional advice from a tax professional or consultant. A qualified tax advisor can provide guidance on specific situations, help you navigate the requirements for filing refund claims, and ensure that you are in compliance with all applicable state laws.